The King's Avatar, Chapter 1720 Puppet Coordination, Audio Source, WuxaWorldAudiobook.com. Chapter 1720, Puppet Coordination. Translator, Nomyami. Editor, Nomyami. The Glory players that were rooting for Happy truly felt disheartened right now. Starting from today's group arena, again and again, Happy lost the advantage to Samsara, and then again and again they tenaciously overcame their predicament and caught up. In the group arena, they achieved a result that allowed them to hold their heads high, but what about the team battle right now? Again and again, they chased after Samsara, but were immediately pushed into a new predicament. To always be the one playing catch-up, it was suffocating. This kind of feeling, when would it end? Happy's fans weren't feeling good, but Samsara's fans weren't in a good mood either. Again and again, they had shaken off their opponents, but again and again their opponents had caught up. They'd suffered a heavy blow in the group arena, and they were terrified that such a reversal would reappear in the team competition now. They hoped that Samsara could establish their win as fast as possible, but again and again, their advantage would be erased by Happy. This was clearly just a grassroots team. Their players and characters were inferior, but Samsara's fans weren't reassured. In their hearts, the feeling of, "we might lose," had already taken root. Right now, Samsara's three completed a kiting formation, and for Happy this was a very difficult situation to break. But all that Samsara's fans could think about was how Happy had repeatedly faced difficult situations head-on and destroyed the feelings of security in their heart. Now, no matter the situation, Samsara's fans couldn't relax. Kiting situation, what would Happy do? Samsara's fans could only continue to watch anxiously. Turn fire. In the end, Happy still turned fire. The target was Jiang Botao's empty waves. Not only was he the Samsara player with the lowest health right now, Spellblades also tended to be less maneuverable, and were easier to catch up to. But it seemed that Samsara had been prepared for this change. Jiang Botao's empty waves was retreating, but he wasn't in much of a hurry. Sun Xiang's one autumn leaf didn't continue to run away. Instead, he turned around and began to approach. He maintained the possibility of fleeing at any moment, yet at the same time he demonstrated an offensive stance. He was ready to take either course of action. And Josei's Cloud Piercer was chasing Lord Grim and Steamed Bun Invasion, becoming Samsara's main damage output right now. Happy wasn't sitting around idle. Dancing Rain's cannon opening aimed at Cloud Piercer. The two long-ranged gunners on both sides began to compete. While this was going on, the distances between everyone were gradually beginning to change. The distance from Lord Grim and Steamed Bun Invasion to empty waves. The distance from one autumn leaf to Lord Grim and Steamed Bun Invasion. Dancing Rain's support distance. Cloud Piercer's attack distance. There was too much hidden within all of this. Don't even mention the ordinary players. Even the pro players couldn't immediately analyze everything there was. The situation was very complex, but no one was discussing, because they were all staring at the match. They didn't want to miss a single detail. Dancing Rain's and Cloud Piercer's attacks never stopped. Lord Grim and Empty Waves were also using the occasional skill. But to these pro players, the situation seemed very still. Both sides were moving, but as they were moving, it seemed as though they had reached some kind of agreement, establishing a sort of equilibrium. And in this equilibrium, there were many hidden conflicts. Audience members who didn't have enough skill wouldn't notice anything. Josei tried to lure Dancing Rain to come closer, but Sumo Chung didn't fall for it. Jiang Botao tried to use his attacks to separate Lord Grim and Steamed Bun Invasion, but Yi Xiu countered it. The equilibrium was still maintained, but judging from attacker and defender, Samsara still had the upper hand, and Happy was slightly more passive. But at this moment, Steamed Bun acted within expectations, and yet still outside of them. Of the 6 people on the field right now, only Steamed Bun was a rookie. Such a delicate equilibrium wasn't something that a rookie player could control, never mind a rookie player like Steamed Bun, who was always breaking rules and conventional thought. With Steamed Bun here, such a delicate situation could not be maintained. On and off the battlefield, every Glory fan who was watching this match, they were probably all thinking something like this. The 3 from Samsara of course believed this as well, as though it were an established truth. So they, with the initiative, purposely made the situation more complex and delicate. They believed that Steamed Bun would quickly lose grasp of the rhythm. No one would feel that their way of thinking was wrong. But as it turned out, Steamed Bun kept up, and he kept up quite well. Samsara's players were at a loss, but if they changed the rhythm now they would be confusing themselves. They couldn't make any big adjustments. But those outside of the battlefield knew how Steamed Bun had done it. Because Happy's chat was flooded with directions. With such detailed instructions, Yizhu was basically holding his hand to guide him. In this moment, to everyone's eyes, Lord Grim and Steamed Bun Invasion were both being controlled by Yizhu. One was controlled by his own hand, one was controlled by messaged orders. Yizhu's ability to focus on 2 things at once and his hand speed were both worthy of awe, and Steamed Bun's precise execution of instructions was also thoroughly impressive. He was acting like a puppet dangling from strings. But it was exactly because he wasn't one that it was so unbelievable that he could complete the correct actions so accurately. Did this count as teamwork? Did this count as tacit understanding? The audience was all stunned. Another scene that had never before appeared in Glory history was brought before their eyes by Happy. They didn't even know how to characterize this thing. In terms of directions, the directions of Thunderclap's Seo Shichen were already considered trivial, but now that they saw Yizhu's directions to Steamed Buns, no one even thought of Seo Shichen. There was simply no comparison. Is there anything these guys can't do? WuxaWorldAudio.com. This was the only thought everyone had left toward Happy. But whether or not this counted as a form of cooperation, the difficulty was certain. Yizhu was bearing a huge burden, and it wasn't easy for Steamed Bun either to complete all of Yizhu's instructions. But at this moment, Yizhu used one sentence to end his puppeteering instructions. "It's up to you, Steamed Bun," Yizhu said. "Got it, watch me." Steamed Bun responded. A simple exchange, but it meant faith and trust. At first sight, it was actually quite moving. But all of the Glory players who saw this conversation were puzzled. They didn't know what about Steamed Bun was worth watching. Was relying on Steamed Bun and his unexpectedness enough to solve this delicate situation? His unexpectedness, could Happy's players grasp it? Happy of course couldn't grasp it either. Not even Yizhu, who had watched Steamed Bun grow all this time, or Tang Rou, who had grown alongside him. They were just a little more mentally prepared, a little calmer and nimbler at reacting to Steamed Bun's strange actions. Grasp. Steamed Bun's thought process and logic was impossible for anyone to grasp. Right now, Happy could only grasp the timing. "Got it, watch me." After Steamed Bun replied, he immediately acted. End chapter. The King's Avatar, Chapter 1721. Indistinguishable Shadow Steps. Audio source, WuxaWorldAudiobook.com. Chapter 1721. Indistinguishable Shadow Steps. Translator, Nomyami. Editor, Nomyami. Brick. Steamed Bun Invasion acted so brash, so splitting, in this sort of calm equilibrium. This kind of attack was like someone harshly slapping a desk in the middle of a silent classroom. Samsara's 3 had been waiting for Steamed Bun Invasion to do something dumb. They had purposely built this situation because they believed that Steamed Bun couldn't keep up with the tempo. But Steamed Bun's steady performance caught them off guard. They didn't have the spectator view, so they didn't know how it was happening. Yishu simultaneously controlling his own Lord Grimm and giving instructions to Steamed Bun. And Steamed Bun completely understanding and completing them. Something like that had to be witnessed to be believed. Even experts like Zhou Zekai, Jiang Botao, and Sun Xiang couldn't think of this possibility. The Samsara players off stage were all very anxious. These sort of unknown situations would always catch him off guard. They wiped the sweat from their foreheads for their 3 teammates on stage. Right now, they were like all of the Samsara fans. After seeing Samsara get the advantage time and again, and then happy catch-up time and again, there was no way they could feel unshakable confidence. They had a deep feeling of danger. Steamed Bun Invasion finally acted. This was the change that Samsara's 3 players had originally anticipated. Although they were surprised that Steamed Bun could keep up with the rhythm at first, when Steamed Bun suddenly broke the rhythm, they weren't in any panic. The skill and experience of these 3 pro players were, of course, much higher than those of ordinary people. A single surprise wouldn't throw them into confusion. The brick flew out. They'd seen Steamed Bun Invasion beginning his attack in the forward direction, but this brick was ultimately thrown horizontally, towards the character to the side of him, One Autumn Leaf. One Autumn Leaf was going neither forward nor backward, he was just hanging around him. Because of this, Steamed Bun had been annoyed at him for a while now. This brick provoked shouts in the crowd. But although this kind of trick was a bit like bullying, with the reaction speed and technique of a pro player, even if the trick worked, there was still plenty of time to recover and react to it. One Autumn Leaf twisted slightly, letting the brick go past him. Sun Xiang was carefully watching Steamed Bun Invasion's movements. The guy was finally starting to act randomly. This was the opening they'd been waiting for. The brick missed, but Steamed Bun didn't give up. A sand toss came toward One Autumn Leaf. A needle was hidden in the sand. Sun Xiang was paying close attention to Steamed Bun Invasion's movements. Of course, he noticed the little trick in this sand toss. Steamed Bun had added a skill like Poison Needle or Paralysis Needle within the sand. Because of the nature of sand toss as a skill, under most conditions, people would simply control their character to turn their head to avoid being blinded, while taking the small amount of damage. And so, some brawlers would take the opportunity to hide another attack in the sand. But if the trick was spotted, then of course, it would lose its effectiveness. One Autumn Leaf dodged the 2 combined skills. What next? To be honest, many people were quite curious as to what kind of offensive Steamed Bun would pull off. Sun Xiang calmly waited for the next change. Next, Steamed Bun ignored him. On one hand, Steamed Bun had found him annoying to look at, so when he had the time, he threw some attacks at him. On the other hand, Steamed Bun followed Yishu's instructions very closely. Yishu said to focus Jiang Botao's empty waves, so Steamed Bun definitely wouldn't change the main offense just like that. Powerful knee strike. The next attack didn't go toward One Autumn Leaf again, but instead toward empty waves. Steamed Bun suddenly flew in that direction with his attack. An opening. Sun Xiang's eyes lit up. Steamed Bun Invasion had hastily used an attack that didn't fit in the battle tempo, instantly messing up the rhythm. Suddenly, there was a distance between him and Lord Grimm. The distance wasn't large, but in this delicate balance, this small distance was a huge rift. One autumn leaf finally stopped, keeping himself open to two possibilities. In this moment, Sun Xiang focused and attacked. Having been waiting for an opportunity on the sidelines for so long, most of his skills were off cooldown. One autumn leaf attacked. 100 Dragon Meteor Strike. The black evil annihilation darted out, leaving countless after images. Under one autumn leaf's swift charge, it thrust toward that opening that Steamed Bun Invasion had left after his powerful knee strike. Sun Xiang's goal was clear: to cut the connection between Yishu and Steamed Bun. Samsara's plan was also clear. In this moment, it wasn't just Sun Xiang's one autumn leaf who launched the attack. Zhou Zekai's Cloud Piercer also suddenly adjusted the gunfire he was exchanging with Dancing Rain to point in this direction, coordinating with one autumn leaf to disrupt Happy's connections in one go. Jiang Botao's empty waves began to attack Steamed Bun Invasion, because the brawler was the next target they wanted to kill. It was just this tiny detail, the distance between two characters, creating an opening. But in such a high-level confrontation, it became a situation that would decide life or death. Ordinary gamers didn't even know what had led Sun Xiang to act, what had led Samsara to change their tempo. They didn't even know what opportunity Samsara had seized. Experts knew. Not only did experts know this, they also knew that this opportunity wasn't necessarily as beautiful as Samsara thought it was. Because Happy was in control of this opportunity. Steamed Bun suddenly changing rhythm was an opening for Samsara, but it was one for Happy as well. Since Happy controlled the timing, Happy had a small lead in seizing this opening. Beat the opponent at their own game. Those old veterans who had fought against Yishu for many years all exchanged glances, exchanging this one thought. This was Yishu's speciality. When the opponent thought that they had control of the situation, in reality, Yishu was always a half-step AEAD, or one step, or even more. Today, this lead was very small. It couldn't even be considered a half-step. But this was still a valuable lead. The opportunity that Samsara had been waiting for was what Happy had been waiting for as well. But Yishu was the one controlling when this opportunity occurred. The lead came from this point. And this tiny lead, how could Yishu not use it well? Lord Grimm was already moving. Shadow steps. The myriad manifestations umbrella shifted to the form of a sword in his hand. With a flicker, after images fanned out. But before they were even done doing so, the umbrella was already changing forms again, although it was still a type of sword. Triple slash. Another weapon skill appeared. Lord Grimm's after images swung their swords and moved, instantly crisscrossing each other, vivid and colorful. The audience felt their sight going blurred. Real body, fake body. Let's put this question aside for now. Everyone suddenly realized that they hadn't even been able to count clearly how many after images Lord Grimm had created with his shadow steps. He'd used triple slash while his after images were still appearing. But through the high-speed movement of the triple slash, the sword light and the after images all intersected, and everyone could only tell that there were countless Lord Grimm swaying before their eyes. 5. 6. Damn. Even Top Blade Master Huang Shaoshan was cursing. Even he didn't dare confirm. This was too much of a blow to his pride. They couldn't even confirm the number. How could they confirm the target? Let alone whether the target was real or fake. The three Samsara players were also completely unsure, but the arrow was drawn on the bowstring. There was no going back. The situation created by the slight opening was this. There was no more time to consider, and definitely no time to try a different strategy. After one step, after many steps, they could only clench their teeth and continue. 100 Dragon Meteor Strike. Sun Xiang's One Autumn Leaf continued along his original path. His goal was to separate Steamed Bun Invasion and Lord Grimm. Right now, there were countless Lord Grimms in front of him, and Sun Xiang's eyes were going blurry as well. Real body. Fake body. He didn't have time to worry about that. Who cares how many clones you have? Who cares how many are real or fake? I'll attack them all. The Black Evil Annihilation didn't hold back, harshly piercing toward Lord Grimm. But the after-images of a Blade Master's shadow steps and the clones of a ninja's shadow clone technique were different. Shadow clones were physical bodies, with health. WuxRWorldAudio.com. Hit by One Autumn Leaf's roaring 100 Dragon Meteor strike like this, there was a possibility that they would instantly be cleared off the battlefield. But shadow steps created illusions that didn't have any health to them. When 100 Dragon Meteor strike pierced through, it was as though they were going through empty air. This was undoubtedly a false body, but right now, Ye Xiu didn't care that the opponent could use this method to distinguish real and fake. Because in just the blink of an eye, the afterimages could cross, and the one that had just been determined to be fake would be swapped to who knows what new position. 100 Dragon Meteor strike pierced countless targets, but Lord Grimm was still using /1/2/3/. With his numerous afterimages from shadow steps, Lord Grimm actually traveled through the 100 Dragon Meteor strike just like that, as though the 100 Dragon Meteor strike were also nothing more than an illusion. It didn't stop him, so it didn't separate him and Steamed Bun. The opening that Samsara had spotted ultimately went to Happy. It became an opening for Happy to attack. One Autumn Leaf's 100th Dragon Meteor strike missed completely. Cloud Piercer's fired bullets all hit air. Jiang Botao's empty waves stopped running away, and began to attack Steamed Bun Invasion. Steamed Bun Invasion arrived in front of him, but close behind was Lord Grimm. The final slash of / arrived right in front of him. The countless images of Lord Grimm crisscrossed for the last time, as dazzling and dizzying as ever. Which was real? Jiang Botao couldn't distinguish them, and that meant that he had no idea which strike he had to dodge. Empty Waves was already using a wave slash, but it was aimed towards Steamed Bun Invasion. But in just the blink of an eye, Happy's attacker had become Lord Grimm. Hit. The final slash of / hit, and this hit immediately allowed Jiang Botao to tell which image was real. Empty Waves' divine chain spun and slashed towards this real body, but heavy firepower was already blasting down from the sky. Dancing Rain's powerful attack had arrived. Steamed Buns follow. Ye Xiu shouted in the chat. Steamed Bun Invasion had been the one attacking initially, but the attack that hit Empty Waves first was Lord Grimm's. Steamed Bun Invasion, in order to dodge that wave slash, had rolled to the side, but right now, after Ye Xiu's summon, he was instantly darting back. 3v1 focused fire. Although Cloud Piercer and One Autumn Leaf were already chasing toward the backs of Lord Grimm and Steamed Bun, Happy didn't retreat. Snatch the kill, fight for blood. At a time like this, they were competing in sheer DPS. Sun Xiang's One Autumn Leaf swiftly charged forward, slamming down a Draconic Crusher. This skill had high priority and knockdown. Its interruption of rhythm couldn't be ignored, and so the two Happy players hurriedly dodged. But, in fact, the mid-air One Autumn Leaf didn't wait for the attack to be executed. Instead, he vanished. Teleportation. No matter how unconventional Steamed Bun was, he still had the judgment he was supposed to. He and Ye Xiu immediately moved again as they searched for One Autumn Leaf. But a flash appeared before Su Mucheng's eyes. One autumn leaf, that silhouette with which she was incomparably familiar, had flashed in front of her. Dancing Rain, blazing with murderous intent. End chapter. The King's Avatar. Chapter 1722. It's up to you. Leave it to me. Audio source, wooshawworldaudiobook.com. Chapter 1722. It's up to you. Leave it to me. Translator, Nomyami. Editor, Nomyami. A completely unexpected change. Sun Xiang's one autumn leaf charged toward Lord Grim and Steamed Bun invasion, but it actually turned out to be a feint. In the end, he had teleported to attack Dancing Rain. The awareness of ordinary gamers was not enough to understand this change. Su Muchung's Dancing Rain had always been the character on the field with the most health. Even after exchanging gunfire with Jozekai's Cloudpiercer just now, her health was still above 70% right now. Aside from her, not a single other character had more than 50% health. It wasn't that Samsara didn't know how important Su Muchung was. From the very start, they had enacted a box one against her. Using such a targeted formation was evidence of how highly they regarded her. But after that, the battle situation had kept changing. It wasn't that they didn't want to restrain Su Muchung, it was that they didn't have the chance to. All they could do was rely on the long range of Jozekai's Cloudpiercer, when he had the time, to make things a little more difficult for Su Muchung. But to disrupt only when he had time. For Su Muchung that posed no pressure at all. And now, the battle on the other side of the field was reaching a critical moment. Jiang Botao's empty waves was being suppressed by Lord Grim and Steamed Bun invasion together. But while they were focusing on him, Samsara thought of going to suppress Dancing Rain. Viewers couldn't understand. They didn't understand, but the pro-level experts all understood. Why did they suddenly think of suppressing Su Muchung? Because among Happy's three, Dancing Rain's DPS was the highest. Destroy her firepower and they could greatly suppress Happy's offensive ability. And more importantly, suppressing Dancing Rain was easier than suppressing Lord Grim and Steamed Bun invasion. They just had to close in on her. Sun Xiang completed it. Feint, then teleportation. No one expected that he would actually switch targets to Dancing Rain. Su Muchung also grasped the key point immediately, and she hurriedly prepared a skill. Jump back, mounted gun. Dancing Rain had a lot of health, so she wasn't scared. Mounted gun increased her attack and defense. Su Muchung wanted to use this to complete this wave of focus fire. But she was too slow. After all, Sun Xiang had switched targets extremely suddenly, and his reaction and controls weren't slow at all. Dancing Rain's jump backward was already the greatest opening she could achieve with her speed and limits, but it still couldn't compare to how fast one autumn leaf's attack came. Dragon Tooth. The skill landed. Short and stiff, but it interrupted Dancing Rain's mounted gun. The attack began. At the beginning of the team battle, the one who had set up a box one against Su Muchung had been Sun Xiang. This sort of targeted strategy had to be practiced. Sun Xiang had 1.5 years of experience playing with Su Muchung on the same team, so his understanding of her was extremely comprehensive. Dancing Rain's firepower was swiftly suppressed. Relying on Lord Grim and Steamed Bun invasion alone, the DPS dropped drastically. Spellblades were a plate armor class, after all, with high defense. The situation changed. With only 2 people focusing him instead of 3, Jiang Botao's situation immediately became much easier. Happy was pincering with 2 players, and so was Samsara. Even though Happy had managed a first wave of attacks, sending Empty Wave's health down to 24%, Jiang Botao and Josekai quickly established a counterattack against Happy's vital point. Cloudpiercer, Empty Waves, targeted Lord Grim. With Sun Xiang's Draconic Crusher feint, Yi Xiu and Steamed Bun had no choice but to dodge. Jiang Botao had seized this opportunity, suddenly beginning a fierce counter-attack. Wave Wheel Slasher. Grab priority, an attack that couldn't be parried by typical skills. Although Yi Xiu's Lord Grim could use similar skills to block it. But he hadn't done so because he and Steamed Bun had been worried about one Autumn Leaf's teleportation and from where his surprise attack would come. But as it turned out, one Autumn Leaf teleported to attack Dancing Rain, and the one who launched the surprise attack was actually Jiang Botao's Empty Waves. As Wave Wheel Slasher split toward Lord Grim, Empty Waves was moving and pulling away. His short sword Divine Chain darted forward non-stop, sending wave slash after wave slash. Storm, Light. Two of the fastest wave slashes shot forward first, further targeting the gap, and then Fire and Ice combined with the earlier light wave slash to complete a threefold wave, and then waltzing wave slash, sneakily hidden within. Jiang Botao was no longer holding anything back, he was bursting forth with everything he got. If Nebula Wave Slash weren't still in cooldown, he would be using that skill as well. 5 consecutive wave slashes formed a net, firmly trapping Lord Grim within. Yi Xiu wasn't fighting by himself, but at this moment, Steamed Bun, next to him, wasn't able to give him any assistance. His Steamed Bun invasion was attacking Empty Waves non-stop, but he wasn't able to effectively disrupt him. As Jiang Botao avoided the attacks that Steamed Bun invasion threw at him, he completed the surprise attack against Lord Grim. The change of the battle situation had started from Steamed Bun's, but he truly didn't have a very clear awareness. And right now, when the situation changed again, Steamed Bun seemed very out of step. His actions, faced with Jiang Botao's rationality and effectiveness, were completely negated. Empty Waves health, 11%. This was the price Jiang Botao paid in avoiding Steamed Bun invasion's disruption. Empty Waves was in critical health, but he used his consecutive wave slashes to trap Lord Grim. It was just a moment. But this one moment was already enough. Partnered control allowed the other skills to come off cooldown. Cloud Piercer once again prepared a Thunder Snipe. A beautiful and flawless partnership. Jiang Botao's Empty Waves set up the net, and Zhou Zekai's Cloud Piercer carried out the true killing move. Bang! The sound of Thunder Snipe's fire was ear-splitting. Cloud Piercer hadn't been standing too far away, so when the shot came out, it arrived in an instant. There was no space at all to dodge, there was no time for any skill. One headshot, double damage. After a struggle of a battle earlier, Lord Grim's health was at 31%, but a Thunder Snipe headshot from Cloud Piercer was enough to wipe that out. Time seemed to come to a halt. No one had expected that, in this moment, Samsara would use a killing move, a Sura kill killing move, directly targeting Happy's most crucial character. The stadium was filled with shouts. Shock, excitement, regret, hatred. All sorts of emotions, all sorts of attitudes, they were all expressed in this instant. Blood sprayed forth. This Thunder Snipe had simply been unavoidable. But someone blocked it. Steamed Bun invasion. When the bullets came, the silhouette of Steamed Bun invasion suddenly flew in front of Lord Grim. He frantically extended his body, desperately stretched his head. The distance was too close, the bullets were too fast, these were the only movements he had time to do. Blood mist bloomed. Steamed Bun invasion's head was already gone. Boss, it's up to you. It's up to you. Yi Xiu didn't know how many times he'd said these words to Steamed Bun. Everyone could hear the sort of cajoling tone behind these words. But Steamed Bun had always taken this sentence very seriously. If they said it was up to him, then he would work his hardest to do the best he could. "Leave it to me." Quote, he would always reply with such confidence, even if this confidence was baffling to everyone, including Yi Shu. But this time, "Boss, it's up to you." Steamed Bun said to Yi Shu. "Leave it to me." Yi Shu answered. Steamed Bun invasion fell. Earlier, his health had also been whittled down, and the powerful sniping headshot from Cloudpiercer directly dealt him 34% damage. Just like that, Steamed Bun invasion left behind this final sentence that Yi Shu often said to him, and he didn't get up again. Yi Shu's reply, "He saw it. Go, boss." Steamed Bun shouted in the channel, but with his character already turned into a corpse, he had no way of sending the message. Shadow clone technique. Yi Shu didn't waste the opening that Steamed Bun had sacrificed himself to obtain. Lord Grim directly pierced through the crack in the wave slash's cutthroat. The true Lord Grim flashed behind empty waves and sliced forward with his blade, but Jiang Botao's reaction speed was very fast. WuxaWorldAudio.com. The moment he saw Steamed Bun invasion moving, he was already making his next moves. Roll. Ahead of him, there were still ongoing damage-causing areas left behind by the sweeping wave slashes. Jiang Botao trusted that Lord Grim had no way to force his way through there to attack him. While rolling, empty waves, his sword stabbed backward. Earthquake slash. The attack was concealed, the distance was close, the rippling energy didn't even disturb the surface of the dirt. The earthquake effect swept Lord Grim. "Fuck, how dirty." Quote, on the sidelines, Fang Rui was jumping on his feet and cursing. Normally, Chen Guo definitely would have given him a disdainful look. This kind of technique was exactly like what Fang Rui loved using. But right now, Chen Guo was in no mood for that. She was so nervous that she couldn't make a sound. Even she knew how crucial this attack was. Steamed Bun invasion was directly killed, so killing Jiang Botao's empty waves was too crucial. Only by quickly attacking him could they recover from the numbers disadvantage. But Yi Shu actually failed. Jiang Botao's reaction speed and awareness was even faster than a rabbit in this moment. He avoided Lord Grim's cutthroat, and instead rolled and hit Lord Grim with an attack of his own. Happy's going to lose. A number of people had already drawn this conclusion. This was an absolutely critical match point, and Happy had missed it. Jiang Botao's empty waves rolled and climbed and leapt along the ground. Cloudpiercer's cover followed him, the gunfire preventing Lord Grim from advancing further. Right now, there was no way to force his way further. After getting hit by earthquake slash, Lord Grim had only 29% health remaining. Facing Cloudpiercer, who still had 32% health, in addition to the 35% health one Autumn Leaf, Yi Shu could no longer let Lord Grim loose without a care. Helpless, Yi Shu could only use the cover of the map features, dodging Cloudpiercer's attacks and steadily approaching Dancing Rain's position. Samsara hadn't been in a hurry, so they'd chosen to deal with Yi Shu's Lord Grim first. Now, Jiang Botao's empty waves didn't have much health remaining, but he was still rushing toward Dancing Rain. Zhou Zekai's Cloudpiercer, after seeing that Lord Grim posed no more deadly threat to empty waves, also turned the majority of his firepower towards Dancing Rain. Suma Chung's situation was getting more and more difficult. A launcher who was closed in on by a close-range attacker was automatically on the defensive, and could even be said to have already lost half the battle. And right now, she was about to face a three-person focus fire from Samsara. Seeing this kind of situation, countless people had already written off Suma Chung as dead. Even if Dancing Rain currently had the most health out of all the characters, this would quickly become a fact of the past. Was it over? No. Seeing how Yi Shu was still resolutely searching for ways to rescue her, how could Su Mucheng think of giving up? End chapter.